Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Brothers Take podcast. I'm Chris. I am joined once again by my brothers, Adam
Hello.
and Eric.
Hello.
We are back in the room to talk more gaming. We hope everyone had a nice, spooky Halloween. But in this week's episode, we are actually going to be talking about a topic that we've been spinning around in our heads a little bit lately, which is a game series that, or singular game, that you really should be into, but you're just not. And you can't even pinpoint why you're not into it. To the point where like other people can point at all the things that are good about it. And you're like, no, I get that. I get all those things. And yet I just don't enjoy it. I can't enjoy it. These are games that we've probably tried playing ourselves a couple of times. And we just can't get into them. So we're going to talk about why we can't get into them. And the more interesting part will be when the others possibly have been into those games or are really into those games, we'll be able to like debate about these games. And we'd love to hear from you guys as well. So basically, if there's like a game series out there that like you're like, I should be into this. Like, let's say you're someone who's grown up and you're like, I should like Metal Gear Solid. I just don't. And you're like, but I don't know why I don't like it. Everyone else loves it. And I just can't get into it. You let us know. If you watch this YouTube, you jump down in the comments, share your thoughts on either the games and series that we bring up or the ones that you want to bring up that you're like, if you enjoy this discussion, why not give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and ring that notification bell for all our future episodes. If you guys listen to us on audio platforms, you can also touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Brothers Take, again, to give your take on the games or game series that you just can't get into. We'll have a healthy discourse online. You know, we can berate each other. Like, what is wrong with you? Let's do it. Let's have some fun. So without further ado, let's jump right in.
Eric about to do his his like on the dot nearly every episode.
Oh, yeah. The yawn was coming.
I haven't done it yet.
No, you nearly did that.
I'm holding on to it. I'm saving it
for the end.
Oh, I see.
You're saving it for the game that makes you do that. Where you're saving it for the game that is you actually picked this topic.
I'm actually doing
this week.
it now.
Here it comes. See, because you know that we're gonna come to you first. That's why. I think it's only fair to come to you first. Eric, what is the game or game series that you should be into? You know you should be into, and you just can't seem to enjoy it.
That would be the very recent Marvel Spiderman game. The one that came on PS4. Bad for PS5.
Fucking crazy.
I actually got as far as the end of Act 1. I actually got a good distance into it.
Oh no, do you know what it was? I know what he's talking about, I think, right? Spoilers.
Are we doing spoiler talks for this?
I don't know if we should spoil these games, but because it's not like a dedicated episode to any particular one. But you know what, Spider-Man's out a while, right? We're not spoiling the ending. There's a certain point in it, because I remember saying, Eric, if you keep playing, you get to this point. This is the point that is gonna get you. This is gonna hook you. And I believe it's a key character gets killed in public. Norman Osborn is like basically going for mayor, and he gets attacked, and other people die in the process, right?
Mm.
And
it's quite a bleak moment.
Yeah.
I think you play as a different character as well. During this sequence, you're seeing it from their perspective.
You play as Miles, I think, and you see it from his perspective, which is very, which is key.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Is like the end of Act 1 because the minute that ends, all the stuff I did beforehand gets completely undone, and look, Kingpin's guys have popped up, and now more places have popped up. I'm like, I gotta go through do all that again. For fuck's sake. So that's kind of part of the problem was just the almost repetitiveness of the kind of side missions, which makes no sense because nearly every game is the same.
You'd be totally all for it if the gameplay wasn't there.
If it was something I could just sit down and watch, I think I'd love it.
That's it. The crazy thing is that like I really enjoyed that Spider-Man game, right? It was like my runner-up for best game of 2018. God of War, I do think is a better game, but Spider-Man was like the runner-up. And I remember when we were doing our favorite games of each year thing, like me and Adam were talking about Spider-Man. And you were just like, yeah, no, I don't get it. And then even getting the Miles Morales expansion, which is in itself is a game. Like it's long enough to be like, it's not as long as, but it goes beyond just a DLC. I think like it's
proper expansion, like
and getting that at Christmas time with the PS, like it's fucking brilliant, and the story in that is great. And Miles is so fun to play as, but it did like the 2018 Spider-Man game was like the most into Spider-Man I was able to get since Tobey Maguire. I was like, this is it. This is what I feel the movies have been like missing. This is kind of hit that they got the character I feel right, and I'm surprised that it didn't like win you over. I don't get it.
It just did, because it has the stealth. I love stealth. It's got the free flow combat, which I love.
Yes.
I swinging around New York. I should be loving that. And it's just something about it that just seems almost lacklustery to me, possibly.
Right.
I think it's like it may suffer from that kind of, if you were to pick up like an Assassin's Creed game nowadays, they kind of just expect that you've been playing all of these, and it's like, oh yeah, by the way, viewpoints. By the way, this, and you're just like, whoa, tease me a bit here, bit of role play, bit of flirting here, like, I mean, ease me into this.
I think that's kind of interesting. Throw everything at me. I find out of all of those type of games, the Spider-Man game has very little stuff in it, because you can platinum that game in less than 60 hours.
I've no doubt that it's like definitely shorter than a lot of games that are just unnecessarily long. But
I just mean in terms of like just the extra things to do. Like it has less. I would say it has less to complete in something like Arkham City.
Yeah, but
maybe I don't know about that now.
Well, they're quicker, right? Like I mean, I can't see myself platinum Arkham City in 60 hours.
I suppose you're talking about the over excessive Riddler stuff, right? Which just doing the Riddler stuff takes longer. Like everything else is very quick. Crimes of progress and that kind of stuff. That's all really quick.
Yeah,
but the Riddler stuff.
Well, a lot of them you're kind of like
fucking forever.
Even the crimes and progress stuff, it's like you're kind of
gliding around waiting for them to happen.
Wait for it to happen. Whereas I feel like you can nearly prompt them in Spider-Man. Like you can go, okay, I'm going to take out all of the car chase and stuff, right? I'm just gonna do that, and you can stop them all basically.
Yeah.
In like a matter of
crime,
minutes.
like all of it.
Yeah.
I will admit it took me a bit of time to adjust to Spider-Man's gameplay. In that I always wanted, like playing the Arkham games, I was like, oh man, I want this game. I want a Spider-Man game with this gameplay, basically. Yeah. And I remember trying to play 2018 Spider-Man like an Arkham game, like just
big mistake.
Counter. You actually can't play it that way, and if you play it that way, you're playing it wrong, and you will find that you're getting hit a lot, and you're going, why is this game so hard? You have to actually work into the mechanics they're showing you, and stop assuming you know how it plays, kind of thing. And then you'll actually go, oh, now I'm in the flow of it. It's way more combo based than counter based, I would say.
Yeah. It's I suppose when you look at the Spider-Man character in comparison to the Batman character, he's less of a brute. He's more about momentum, speed, and his webs, right? So you're using them as much as you can. And even when it comes to the stealth side of things, that even plays different, because it's not about building up fear and luring someone.
Yeah.
It is just about like, well, advantage point, and you really need to get out of there like quickly.
Yeah.
But yes, I think that's a lot like if you go into something like a Bloodborne game expecting Demon Souls, or going to Sekiro expecting Bloodborne, you're in trouble. It's a different, like, although they're fairly similar.
They're similar DNA.
The approach
for sure
to the combat is very different.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. And the story is actually great.
Probably one of of the best Spider-Man stories.
The ending is so good. And I'm like, I wish Eric. I actually would love to like do a spoiler talk of this game with you, Eric, because I actually like maybe you should just watch all the cutscenes like thrown together as like a movie even, or
just play the game.
It's just I go across all of Manhattan and I take down all the Kingpin places.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
2 seconds later, this stuff all pops up, and I'm like, okay, right, I take that all down. 2 seconds later, this other person stuff. I was like, okay, right, I take that down. And I'm like, after I'm done taking all this stuff and picking up some backpacks and doing that, and then I'm like,
just
what the fuck is going on? What's the story though? What's going on here?
But you don't have to do all that stuff, right?
Yeah, you don't have to.
I know you don't have to, but it's like the equivalent of doing the stuff in Arkham Knight or Arkham City. It makes you get better. Or doing any RPG. You do the side stuff.
Yeah, the XP stuff, yeah.
That make you get better and everything. You unlock the cool costumes and outfits.
See, I always find that's a big enough incentive, because with Spider-Man, the costumes, I think, are fantastic unlockables.
Well, especially because each costume comes with an ability that you can then learn and lock to your character, and they're really great.
And what I love about that is that you don't have to equip that costume
after you've learned it. So
you can kind of customize your Spider-Man. You can say, well, I want that ability with that suit.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like rocking the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man suit and swinging through New York.
Oh man, Eric, do you have? I don't know if you do. Do you have fond memories of playing Spider-Man 2 on the PS2? Like just swinging around, or do you even remember that game? Or
I do. I think I have more of fond memories of watching Adam play that game.
Right. Maybe you need to watch someone else play 2018 Spider-Man.
No, but even when you were playing the Miles Morales thing, and I was sitting there with you. And
that's right. Yeah, you were just not into it.
I was just like, God, this is taking forever for you to get there. This would be much faster. This is only the start of the game. I could have talked.
And yet, for me, it was like that is the fun. The swinging around is fun, and the combat is fun. You know,
oftentimes I just find myself just
running around, parkouring,
just swinging around, and just enjoying New York. And I think partially that is what makes Spider-Man. Like I always think about the Batman games, and I'm like, it's the cape. The cape makes you feel like Batman. In whatever, it's just gliding around with that cape. With Spider-Man, to me it's about New York. It's the kind of living, breathing city of New York, and high-fiving someone just on the street, and just going around and spotting all the different kind of like the Doctor Strange house and things like that, or his mansion.
Sure. Yeah,
like the little Easter eggs,
the little Easter eggs of the Marvel universe.
The statue of Stan Lee in there as well. Like it's just swinging around and finding all that stuff is just so much fun. Like I get enjoyment out of that, and then it's just like the extra stuff is just a bonus.
I was actually shocked and surprised because I remember in the lead up to it, I was excited for the game, but I was like, why is the villain this Mr. Negative dude, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was like, of all the villains in Spider-Man, right? Now, like, the actual villain is done really well. However, at the same time, I came out of it really liking Mr. Negative as a villain. Yeah. And then I was like, now I want to Wikipedia this guy. Like, who is he? When did he show up in the comics? Like, how pivotal is he? His abilities and everything were utilized really well. And the way that he played into the story, or his own backstory played into the overall plot, was like really cool. I really am shocked that you. And how many times have you tried playing it? Because I know you've started this more than once.
Yeah. I think I've played the start of it 3 times.
Wow.
In fact, I've tried multiple times to try to get into this, and I just like no, just can't. I get more and more bored every time. So I'm like I just.
You should what?
Should be studied.
I get more bored because it's like this is stuff I've already seen and done.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to skip past this part, but then I can't. So then I get more bored. So then I can't.
Why do you never just like boot up the save file you had before? Like,
I think it's gone though.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Well, that's a shame.
Yeah,
it's great.
As well, it is the combat, because it's like when you're trying to play it and you don't counter at all in it. You just dodge and you dodge and you dodge, and everyone's got guns and everyone's shooting you. And I'm
Hmm.
pressing dodge, but he doesn't dodge fast enough because he's not faster than a bullet. So I'm still dying because everyone has fucking assault rifles and shotguns.
Mm-hmm. I will say, when you talk about being faster than a bullet, actually, I think Spider-Man, in terms of like gameplay and game design, is like the furthest up the superhero ladder we can go in terms of like we they can't do a Superman game. It's the dream for a lot of people, but it literally cannot be done, and to the extent where you're given full freedom as the character, right? Because the limitations just aren't there. Spider-Man is like the closest we can get, where you get free, like swinging all over a city, doing the kind of things Superman would do, but he has limitations, and it's not that the game is limiting him, it's that genuinely Spider-Man does have like actual limitations.
Yeah.
So it's like that's as far as we can get, I think, at the moment in terms of technology that's available to us.
With him, with Spider-Man, is that it's kind of innate to his character that he doesn't really have a desire to go beyond New York.
No, he's the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
And although the early days of Superman has been contained in Metropolis, it's like, well, the latest versions of him is on planets and walking along the surface of the sun and things like that. Like he can go anywhere he wants. He's saving the world, not just saving Metropolis. So that really does. I'm sure they could do one, but you're right. There's going to be a compromise somewhere. If they can't do them, to the full extent. Yeah.
At least not yet. Maybe look at generations down the line. Who knows what technology will allow people to do? But at the moment, like I would imagine, not to go off topic too much, but I would imagine like Rocksteady had that conversation, right?
Yeah.
Before doing the whole Suicide Squad thing or whatever they're doing at the moment. Like, because everyone was crying out for that Superman game, and everyone was like, "Oh, next they gotta do Superman." I imagine they did have a genuine, realistic, okay, how could we do this? And in the end, probably decided if we can't do it fully, it's not worth doing. Do you know what I mean? Like if it's Superman with his hands behind his back, then it's not really Superman, So let's fight him instead. Maybe that was and then it went from there. So maybe they had all these pre-animations done that they were like, well, we've done a lot of work here. We might as well use it. I don't know, turn him into a boss fight. Who will fight him? Suicide Squad? That sounds like a game. Let's do it. It probably grew from that original. I don't know. So Eric, then you probably have zero excitement for Spider-Man 2. Yeah.
Pretty much. Like, I mean, I know for a fact that this game coded and everything, the way it looks, the way it plays and everything, because there's a guy I went to college with who prefers it to the Arkham games and everything. And I was like, okay, that's fair enough. Like, and it definitely is the Marvel equivalent of the Arkham. Like, it's definitely a perfected game for Spider-Man. Just something about its presentation is just
Here's a question. Let me ask you this.
Let me ask you this real quick. Podcast talk.
Do you actually consider yourself a fan of the Spider-Man character, or is it just like, you're into Spider-Man, but would you be like really into Spider-Man as a character?
Probably not as much as I would have been when I was younger.
So could that possibly be part of it? It's like, because all the things that you seem to dislike about the game seem inherent to the Spider-Man character, that maybe those are just the aspects of Spider-Man you don't like, and you would prefer a different version of Spider-Man.
No, I don't really know. I don't know if it's
like if it was a full game of Spider-Man Noir in the 1930s and you're stealth killing people, would you be like, I love this game? Which is not Spider-Man. But which is not obviously an inherent Spider-Man character.
I don't know. I think maybe I think just I think the problem is the straight away. Whoa, I'm in New York and I'm going halfway across the city. I know that I know that is Spider-Man, swinging around.
Yeah.
But I think it's like, I'm not used to this version of Spider-Man.
Right.
It's like the equivalent of when you get the Arkham games. It's like we're not used to that gameplay. So they start us small and confined so that we can get used to that and perfect that. So when it comes to the bigger locations, we're well aware. We know how to glide, we know how to combat, we know how to do everything that is Batman. So, and then all they have to do is add a new thing. So I think if it was Spider-Man in that prison, the raft, or locked in the Oscorp Tower, yes, you're not swinging around New York, which is not as fun, but at least you can kind of get used to the way things
That's
are.
quite interesting because that's two different approaches now to, because there'd be many people that would say, oh, I don't want to have to go through all this. I just give me the city. I just want to be able to swing around.
Yeah.
And then what you're saying is that you want almost like a tanker mission tutorial section before it opens out into New York City.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that means it's the onboarding of the game you don't like, and it sets you back in terms of enjoying the overall experience.
Yeah, because again, it's just all open up, and again, it's those kingpin building things are annoyingly, tediously long and difficult for the start of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm still not used to playing it this way, because I'm used to kicking one person and jumping the other way to the other across the other fucking arena, outside the arena, to kick the next person.
I think you just
Batman's
need to
got superpowers.
get good.
Somehow. Yeah. That's it. We solved the problem.
There's the title of this episode.
Gotta get good.
Well, I mean, that criticism might get thrown back at us, Adam. I don't know. We'll see as this goes on. Like,
yeah.
But I suppose everyone let us know, like, how did you feel about 2018 Spider-Man and Miles Morales?
How wrong
Spider-Man?
am I?
Yeah, how wrong do you think Eric is, and what do you think he needs to do differently? Or do you see exactly where maybe someone else is out there going, I have been afraid to say this, but yes, I agree. I don't know why everyone loves this game and it's coming out on PC and everyone loves it. It's like, I hate this game, like, perfectly fine. Art is subjective. Yeah. People feel differently about different
Part of
things.
it too, it can be the time in which it comes out, right?
Yeah,
like your own personal experience and what you're hoping to experience, and then it's not living up to that. You will always be reminded of that moment, your first introduction.
I suppose like that would be equivalent to when Horizon Zero Dawn first came out, and I just couldn't get into it because I was sick of open
that's right.
games.
And at one point, that could have been one for that topic actually, because I remember I got Horizon Zero Dawn, and I was playing it, and you were like, I don't like the look of this at all, and I was like, Eric, this literally has everything you would like.
Yeah, I
don't get why you don't like it. It took a long time to, but I know now you do, like, and you played the sequel and everything, but. That is one of those ones. But no, I think you're right, Adam. Like, and that can be for many reasons, like the time at which you play a game, and then sometimes you go back to it, and you just can't shake whatever that feeling was of your first time. I've had that with Resident Evil 7, which I fully acknowledge is an amazing game. I know the story pretty well. I've never completed it myself. Someday I want to, right? Someday VR? I want to. No, not in VR. No, I tell you what, because when I was first playing it, I was at a friend's house.
Right.
And then while there, it's after you fight Jack. Right? It's after you fight Jack and you kill him with the car and all that stuff, right? Literally after that point, I got a phone call and got some really, really bad news, right? And so I literally, every time I play that game, I try to restart it and I go, right, this time I'm going to play RE7. But every time I get to that point, I go, I don't want to play this game. And it always goes back to that. So one day I want to fucking play it and finish it, because I know it's a really good game and I really appreciate all the game design and stuff, but it is that thing of like, where was I at that time and what does it remind me of? So I get that thing of like, you can't have a game where you're like, no, it just reminds me of this time and it was shit then, so fuck that. Whatever it is. But Adam, is there a game or a series of games that by all rights you should be into, but for some unknown or unexplainable reason you just can't seem to get into?
Where do I begin?
Right. Yeah.
I was thinking about when this topic was brought up what one to pick. You know,
you can pick more than one. That's totally fine.
There are so many games where it's just like, this should be my jam, but it's just really, really not.
Right.
And I think what I will settle on, because some of them I think you can kind of nitpick anyway, and it doesn't really matter. Mass Effect.
Yeah, what is wrong with you?
Right, like I could say Detroit Become Human. People seem to like that, but sure. I think you could kind of see where I'm coming from with my issues with that game. Perhaps any Telltale game ever. But yeah, Mass Effect, which in some way I think is quite similar to
I'm very surprised that actually that you would say that Mass Effect is something that you should like that you don't. I'm actually surprised.
Well, I remember playing Mass Effect for the first time, the first one on when it was just a 360 exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a PS3 at the time. I was at a friend's house, and he was just kind of introducing me to the Xbox, and we were playing all kinds of games: Halo 3, Gears of War. He showed me Oblivion. Oblivion was the game he showed me, and then he showed me Mass Effect. And I remember coming away from Mass Effect being pretty blown away by it, and being told that it was made by the same people that did Knights of the Old Republic, and I remember hearing great things about that. It's when I got my own Xbox and I picked up Mass Effect, and it's like as if I was shown like the best part or something. I don't know. It was like that. It never really got any better.
And do you mean when you say you're not you? Because I suppose this is more interesting because like Eric has never actually finished Spider-Man, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've played all 3 of the Shepard Mass Effect games. I don't know if you've completed them all, but you've played them all, right?
I've played them all. Yeah, the only one I've cleared is 2.
Yeah, but you've given them all a really fair shot.
I got pretty far.
So it's not even just like the after one where it's like, I don't like it.
Yeah.
So I'm not going back to it. You're like, yeah, I'll give 2 a go. Finished it. Nah, I still don't like it. I'll give 3 a go. Like it's kind of unique that way, where it's like you've given them a fair shot, and yes, I agree. You should like these games. I don't know why you don't.
Yeah.
Why don't you like Mass Effect? You fucking psycho.
Because I'm a psycho.
Yeah. Yes. Psycho killer, qu'est-ce que c'est?
I think it's because, and it's a similar issue I have with the Telltale games. I actually do find them quite similar in many ways. Is that although there's a lot more gameplay involved in Mass Effect, I still feel that it's somewhat robotic. The timing, it's not really well paced, I feel. It suffers from almost like Oblivion, right? That kind of the way the dialogue is brought to you. The acting is better, but it's the timing of it. It's still quite stationary, and it's not. It doesn't have like the fine performances that we expect from other games.
Right.
And that's a similar issue I have with the Telltale games, and it's a similar issue I had with Detroit and games like that. These kind of, I'm watching a movie and pressing the button. Now, it's not that I don't like those type of games, because they work in certain cases, like Until Dawn and stuff like that. Like, it worked well there.
Mm-hmm.
But in a game where it's an RPG sci-fi, I want to be able to do more. I just feel like the movement of the character, even the animation of just walking around, that little kind of jog he does. I just like, get me there. I want to fucking sprint to that location. I just feel the whole pacing of it is really, really slow.
Boy, oh boy.
Looks like he
and the gameplay is not great.
It looks like he can pinpoint the problem that he has on it.
No, I mean, you were able to pinpoint the problem you had with Spider-Man. You just didn't like it inherently.
You didn't like it?
Yeah, which is a perfectly reasonable thing to say, you know. Eric, how do you feel about Mass Effect?
Well, if Skyrim didn't exist, it's pretty good. I love Mass Effect. I'm pretty sure I played and cleared the first one. Adam started the first one, but I cleared the first one first.
Yeah.
And then tried to get you to play because I was like, just mind blown. So I remember you were like joking about that, the reptilian Solarian chap.
Solarian. I want to study the Keepers.
Yeah. And then it's like the Keepers were actually the key to the destruction of all life in the galaxy. It was like, what? It was mind blown. The first one was mind blowingly so cool. It was like, I got to create, because I was used to Oblivion and Fallout 3. You create your character, you choose a dialogue option, and the person just kind of responds to your dialogue option. But this is the first time where it was like, my character is a living person who talks and breathes, and you decide your romance option and all that, and who's going to be your best friend. And so it just felt like this is my character, and this feels almost more like this is me going on the journey.
Yeah.
So I love Mass Effect. I love the lore of Mass Effect. I can't wait for Mass Effect 4 to come out. It was great. Yeah. Now, yes, the gameplay of Mass Effect 1 sucks donkey balls. It does.
Yeah.
However,
I honestly think some people seem to say there's not much of a difference. I really think they like greatly improved it for the Legendary Edition. Like Mass Effect 1 was a game that I was never able to finish, right? And I say that somebody was like, I was really into the story and everything, but then I was like, you know what? The gameplay it holds me back too much. I hate the fucking Mako, right? But I like in the Legendary Edition, I finished and went, wow, this is a great game. And then I'd played 2 and 3 multiple times before anyway. But I honestly, if anyone found the gameplay specifically the thing that they didn't like about Mass Effect 1, I would recommend to them to play the Legendary Edition. Adam, not so much. It's more than just the combat that he doesn't like.
Because you also don't like the designs. That's all. You hate like nearly all the designs.
Yeah, like so I can't even get into the
artwork,
the world. You know,
that's
like,
crazy. I love the designs.
It's like as if I hate being there, wherever that is, wherever the location is. I really hate being here. It's like
wow.
Which is really interesting because I think if you were to play a 40k game, you're like, wow, this looks amazing. I want to be here. But it's like there are two opposite universes.
Well, no. I mean, it's like, it's an amazing world. I don't want to be here, but in a kind of a Dead Spacey kind of way, you know, like you can really appreciate the architecture and designs of Dead Space, but it's
you 100% don't want to be there.
Wow, it definitely doesn't look cozy. But no, in Mass Effect, I always feel like how I describe the design, Wipeout, right? I've always hated the designs of the vehicles in Wipeout. Those little cars.
I remember.
There's something about it that's kind of like for the time because of how little pixels they had. That's kind of what they had, but they developed a design language out of that, and I never liked it. I really didn't. And the Normandy looks like a Wipeout vehicle.
You lived in Normandy alone.
Yeah, but did that not remind you of like pod racing or something? Because all the ships, like a lot of the ships in the prequel trilogy of Star Wars are very that kind of design.
Yeah.
Very much so, yeah.
And I'm assuming then by that reaction, I hate those designs.
Well, some of them are great, but I think we can agree that the Naboo designs for the aircrafts, at least, not good.
Everything about Naboo is a mismatch because you're looking at the architecture and then you're looking at the technology, and you're going, like, where does any of this line up? Like, there's a serious mismatch in culture here. Yeah. I agree.
But I also find that in Mass Effect, the outfits, the helmets, and everything like that, they kind of just look like cyclists. You know?
Yeah, fuck you, man.
Sure, yeah.
Like they're just still wearing those aerodynamic style helmets and those really tight leotard kind of.
Yeah, man.
What I
get those
wonder
reps in.
what I wonder is like, do you have that feeling, that acknowledgement of like, I acknowledge Mass Effect games are great games, but I just can't get into them, and this is why? Or do you actually feel like they're not great games, and I don't understand why everyone loves them?
I
Like,
think they're fine, and
Wow.
I think they are a bit. They are overrated for sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
because
like when I hear people say like it's actually to them like the greatest game of all time, I'm like,
sure.
Really?
But I think that comes down to the the experience that the person had, the relationship they built with the game, and its experience that it gave them.
Sure.
It is if you get into it, I think it is a very unique experience. Because I remember after I played Mass Effect 2, which is still to this day in my top 10 greatest games of all time. Top 10.
Really?
100%. Mass Effect 2. The other two are not. I really like them. But Mass Effect 2 is top 10 favorite games of all time. But I remember straight away afterwards asking everyone, are there any other games like Mass Effect 2? You know? And they were like, oh, you should play Dragon Age, same developers. I tried playing Dragon Age. I was like, no, it's not like Mass Effect 2. It doesn't capture what I need another game where I'm building relationships with all of these characters. Like, where is that? To this day, I haven't found it. There is no other game like Mass Effect 2. It's a very unique experience, I think. And then obviously Mass Effect 3 just feels like a big epic finale. Mass Effect 1 is a lovely introduction to the lore in the world. But Mass Effect 2 is, like, I know everyone could be like, oh, typically like Mass Effect 2, everyone does. Like, but it really is like so good. It's incredible. And you don't like it.
Well, yeah, I found that the character, like the building your team thing, not I didn't really care for it. Like I didn't it's like as if you come across the character, you add them to your team, and then you get to know them, as opposed to getting to know them and then deciding whether you want them on your team or not.
Oh, I get that. I get where you're coming from. But I mean, I love the whole, here's a dossier, go recruit this character. Sometimes you weren't even sure. Like, it would just be called like the assassin. You're like, you don't know who that is. And then they make a grand entrance. And then when you're on the ship, you get to know them. Then you do their loyalty mission, which you could choose to do or not. But because you've gotten to know them a bit, hopefully you'll want to do it. And yeah, I love the rhythm of it. I love that aspect too. Man,
I understand where Adam's come from better with Mass Effect 1. Mass Effect 2, the whole point is the ability. So
yeah, it's the point of the game.
You're hiring them, or you're telling them you're doing a dangerous task and blah blah blah. Mass Effect 1, it does sometimes, like you go up to, or not Rex, the mercenary, and he's all like, oh, you kill people, cool, I'll join you. Wait, what? Who the fuck are you? And like, even they all have the common enemy of Saren. They all dislike Saren, and that's why they join you, because you're hunting him down. But it is a bit like, huh? I don't even know you. I don't know, like, whether you're going to kill everyone on this. Like, I like, you know what I mean?
I guess my point of reference.
You get that problem.
I don't think Mass Effect 2, or any of the Mass Effects, does as good of a job at building a team as the Final Fantasy games, and that would be like,
I hear what you're saying, but I think that strongly depends on which Final Fantasy game. I don't think you could say the Final Fantasy games, right? And even with 7, right, which is my favorite game of all time, some of the characters when they join you is bullshit.
I would say,
and 10 has the best
Sid
one.
And
I honestly think 10 does it the best. Where
out of the ones
party feels of the but
out of all two of the ones I played,
I've played a few more, but 10, like the party feels really natural.
Yeah,
it seems to come together naturally. The only one that feels a little bit awkward is Riku, but then of course her like plans come to fruition later, so you realize that she's like infiltrating the party really.
Yeah,
but at first it is a bit like, can I come? It's just like, sure, everyone can come.
Yeah, but there's something about
yeah.
those games that, like, the way the journey kind of naturally takes you to discovering them.
Yeah,
and I really like that about it. Whereas, yeah, you kind of, I would say it's a little bit more like 10-2 in the way the characters are built. The Mass Effect games, it's just there they are, and go wherever. My blood is
boiling. Eric, your rebuttal?
No, it's better than that.
Marginally.
It just is marginal.
Like one thing as well that Mass Effect offers that I do think a lot of other games like it don't offer is replayability. Like, first time you ever play it, you're like, I don't know who this giant frog with a fucking armored head is. I don't care about him, whatever, right? But if you go talk to him in the first one, you actually get there's actually loyalty missions in the first game.
Oh, you mean like true like cross game replayability?
No, I mean even just with the first game.
Okay.
Just for taking the first game alone,
that's
you
if
pick
you
all these
want
characters.
to play it again.
Right.
Let's say hypothetically you wanted to give it a fucking shot.
You want to play
it.
Like, I have played and cleared the first one about 3 or 4 times maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I was only, I think, in like my 5th time playing it on like the PS3 that I realized some of the characters on my crew have loyalty missions. And it was only with like the Legendary Edition that I realized pretty much all of them have loyalty missions in the first game, which is then brought up in the second game, where they also have loyalty missions, which is then brought up in the third one as well. And just that beautiful kind of relationship that you build with the characters is great.
I think that's a little bit like when you watch a movie, and then I love those films that where if you watch it again, you pick up something that you haven't really noticed before.
Yeah, based on your first watch, basically.
Yeah, I was actually I can't remember which film I was watching recently. Casino Royale. I was watching that again, and it was just things I was picking up where I was like, "Oh fuck, I never really noticed that." And it's just every time I watch it, it's like every single like someone in the background is doing something, or and it's just you get a new piece every time. The thing is, though, if you didn't like Casino Royale in your first watch, you're not going to get the enjoyment in any of those little bits when you delve in, right? All of that extra stuff is only for those who really loved it the first time. And I think every game should have elements that you want to revisit and that you do discover something new every time. But that first journey, gotta nail it.
That's fair.
It's very sad though, because I think Mass Effect is one of those series that actually would translate well to like live action media, as in like a TV series or a movie. I do think that it has that potential. Probably TV show more so, just because of the episodic feel of the overall saga. Yeah. It'd probably do well as a TV show.
It'd be actually a very good TV show blend between Star Wars and Star Trek. Both of them.
Oh yeah, well, it's clearly influenced by both those things as well as other sci-fi adventures.
Like the political side of the whole thing, of the different races and the political tensions that can be built up, I think is really cool. That again was stuff that would have went over my head when I was younger playing it.
Yeah,
as I grow up and
as a Star Wars fan, it pains me to admit it's far more Star Trek than it is Star Wars.
Far more Star Trek.
It's very Star Trekian. But I never really watched Star Trek. I never really gave it a chance. So that's not to say like maybe Star Trek is amazing and I've been missing out my whole life. I don't know, but I was never able to get into it as a child.
Actually, it has really good. I've watched scenes from mainly the Next Generation with Patrick Stewart because it's Patrick Stewart.
Make it so.
Yeah, and a lot of their conversations are brilliant. They're so good and they're so ahead of their time. The way they approach things, the way they deal with things, there.
Yeah. Well, everyone, let us know how you feel about the Mass Effect series. Has Adam finally given you the courage to come out and say, I also don't like this series? Or
marginally better.
Do you want to cancel Adam? You let us know. Let us know. Get in touch whether you're on YouTube, drop down in the comments, or if you're listening on audio platforms, touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Brothers Take. And now it's my turn. I think I'm going to get away okay, actually, to be honest with you guys. This is a series that I know the two of you were both really into very early on in the series, but have fallen out of now, right? But when I say this, I have never liked this series. And in the beginning, I probably should have. There's plenty of things about it I should like. And yet, I could never get into it. And that is Assassin's Creed.
Fucking knew you were about to say that. We were talking about early on.
I was like, I don't know, what are you talking about?
Even like the first Assassin's Creed, I tried playing it, couldn't finish it.
I would say 90% of the world agrees with you. I would be in the minority in saying that I really liked the first Assassin's Creed.
Right, okay, but it did. But then, when everyone else jumped on board with Ezio and all, I hated it more.
That's where I started.
I liked it less and less, right, as it went on. Like, because I know you guys played, obviously the first one. Adam, you would have played all the Ezio games, and then
Revelations. I remember pre-booking. I got the collector's edition. And everything. Played the first hour and went, "Fuck this shit."
Oh yeah. And then Eric, you actually then kept up with the series for quite a long time.
You probably played them all.
You played Assassin's Creed 3, Adam, and cleared that.
Did I clear that one?
You did.
Oh yeah.
It's a bit.
Honestly, the only thing I can remember in that is I was in a tree.
You're in many trees throughout the game.
That's what I remember of that one.
That one has a very kind of, that's the ending. Okay. The ending of 3 feels to me like a Quentin Tarantino ending, where I'm a bit like, oh, okay, you could have ended this way earlier and it would have been way more exciting. But okay.
Okay.
Then I got Black Flag. I got Rogue. I played Rogue. I played Odyssey. I've played a bit of Valhalla.
I think Assassin's Creed a little bit though is like it's a bit like Call of Duty, or it's the gamer's equivalent of FIFA.
Sure. I would give it more credit than that.
No, what I mean is just like sometimes it's just like I just want a game, you know, and you mightn't get it straight away, or like I feel like with new console releases and stuff like that, it's always a safe bet to get Assassin's Creed because it's just like, you know, you're going to get gameplay for sure. But in most cases you're just like, oh, it's on sale, I'll pick it up. Why not? It gives me something to do while I'm waiting for other games to come out. So that's to me, that's kind of where Assassin's Creed fits. I think it had a huge potential with the first one. I always liked the concept of it, but I do like that era and that location. I remember around the same time I was watching the Ridley Scott Kingdom of Heaven film, and I'm just like, I want to be able to explore that area. So once they jump ahead to the Renaissance, I'm like, but I want to go back.
Yeah.
So I look, it's a fine series. It got good gameplay, but I think it's not a very compelling story.
I think it was fine what they were doing and everything like that, and they're like the first one's motivation was good. Like the Abstergo getting of Desmond, putting them in the machine to find out where the Piece of Eden is. So that was good. The second one's motivation to jump back into it was good as well. It's like, we're going to use this system to train you because it's way faster and safer than to actually put you climbing up a skyscraper, right? And train you that way. All the others are just bullshit.
Yeah, well, I just feel like what I don't get about Assassin's Creed is like, with that first one, I think it would have been a very, very good game if it didn't have all the Abstergo shit.
Oh yeah, none of them need that.
It's like it's a fine concept. Why does it need science fiction? What the hell's going on there?
Yes, I agree. I
This
agree.
This looks like this is not a thing where like we're going to be arguing with you or battling with you.
No, because I didn't think this would anyway, because
you.
I know that you've fallen off the Assassin's Creed series, but at one point I know you were into it, right? Even if it was just for a game or two games or whatever, at one point everyone was into it, right? And to this day, I know it has a huge legacy and people are really excited for it. I have never liked an Assassin's Creed game. I never get excited when I see one. I think the most excited I've ever been for an Assassin's Creed is I'm actually curious about this Assassin's Creed Hex which was just a picture of a stick.
I love sticks.
And that made me go, oh, okay.
I think
because all my friends were really into the Ezio era as well. And like, whenever we were going over to each other's houses and stuff, like the lads would play Assassin's Creed and I'd just kind of sit there and be like, yeah, cool. Yeah. You know, it's like, I don't want to be that guy either. It just rains up his brain going, this is shit. You know what I mean? Like nobody likes that guy in the corner either. But at the same time, I was like, I really don't enjoy this. And in a way, I'm like, I mean, I technically should. I love stealth gameplay. Always have. Love stealth gameplay. Want more of it in games. It's like Ghost of Tsushima. You know, and I've said before, and we've all said it, best Assassin's Creed game ever made. I think it nailed it, right? I love stealth gameplay. I love periodic pieces. I love art that like fully commits to what it's trying to do. So if it's like, okay, like if this is going to be a Western, then it's a Western, and it's fully, well, let's embrace that. Or if it's going to be like I'm not someone who's big into gold chains and hydraulics in a car and stuff. But if I'm playing a Grand Theft Auto game, let's go all out. Like, let's do it. So I can get into like the mood and the genre of what a piece is. But with the Assassin's Creed games, I'm like, I don't care. I don't care about any of it. And like even like the countering combat system of like the original game, which predates Arkham, and was similar. Actually, right? In a way, if I remember correctly, it is kind of similar. You like push a button, you can counter, and then you can kill. And I just hated doing it. I didn't enjoy it at all because I always felt like I was just like, as opposed to being Batman and feeling like I was in control of the situation in an Arkham game, Assassin's Creed, I always felt like I was just waiting to do the next thing. That's what it always felt like to me. It didn't feel like I was the assassin who's in control of the situation. It always felt like now I'm playing a game and I'm waiting for the input to do the thing. Now I do the thing.
I think from 2 onwards, it became a little bit more proactive in killing. Whereas 1, it was more about the stealth kill. And towards the end, once you're fighting in a battle, they really didn't think that one through. I don't think the combat worked well in 1 at all.
Yeah.
But I remember in 2, it's almost like, there is a little bit of wait, but there's a moment where you kind of hit this, like, I don't know, Ezio kind of, it's like as if he goes God mode or something like that. Is that once you've done enough of him, he just starts to go stab, and he kills everyone? Right. Is that not in the second one, Eric?
That's they introduce in Brotherhood.
Oh, Brotherhood.
So what it is in Brotherhood is that the minute you counter and kill someone, then just straight away, everyone. Once you've done 1, you can just do killing spree.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Just takes them all out.
And they had that in Revelations, they had it in 3, they had it in all others. And then with the RPG, they got rid of it. And I was like,
Yeah, I think the only thing I really liked about, like, especially 2, because I never liked Ezio as a character. I don't really like the story.
I fucking hate Ezio.
But I did enjoy running around Italy, the various different towns of Italy, running along the rooftops, just performing stealth kills. In many ways, it kind of had a similar vibe, I guess, to the Spiderman swinging around New York. I always enjoyed that aspect of it, and you could always do something in it. You know, it's a bit like the GTA games. Just you don't have to do the story. You just grab a car and just drive around and do nothing.
Yeah.
So it has that going for it, but when it comes to the motivation to keep going with it, I think it's lacking. I really do.
Well, and that's what I never had. And I remember like the first game when I was trying to play it, and you kind of there's a loop to each target you have to kill. Like I believe you have to like hide in amongst people and eavesdrop first, or you'd have to follow someone for a while or whatever. And anyway, eventually when you get to kill a guy, then the next time you want to kill a target, you do all of that again. And you do this for like 9 people or something like that. And I was like, wait, I'm gonna have to fucking do that over and over again. Like they didn't put any variety in this fucking game.
Yeah.
For a game that was like, oh, you've loads of choice, and it's like clearly fucking not. That was like why I was just like, yeah, I'm not finishing this. I don't actually, and I don't care enough as to what the outcome is going to be. Like I'm fully convinced anyway that the Creed are the bad guys in the end, and yeah, okay, they are, because that's how these things go. And I was like, even at that age, I was like, why is my character the only character with an American accent? Like, just weird. Like I just didn't. So then I was like, so I don't really like Altair as a character. Like I don't. He's just hooded American man in the Middle East in the 1100s. Like, and then with the Animus stuff, I was like, yeah, I don't care about this either. Like, I don't care about Desmond. Because I remember watching the trailers. I was actually very excited for Assassin's Creed because I just thought it was going to be just a medieval story-based game.
Yeah.
Sounds great. That sounds like my jam. I'm not trying to take away from. I know, like, people still love Assassin's Creed. I swear by it. I remember watching that live stream, which I thought was actually a really good live stream, even though it's a series I don't care for. And that was a really well put together live stream. I think they have a lot of exciting things coming up if that's the game you're into. And I know there's huge passion for Assassin's Creed. Like, it was beyond just people who were like casual gamers. Like, there was people who were just submitting their artwork, showing off their tattoos. Like, fucking love this series, and I get it. But I just can't get into these games. And I tried Assassin's Creed 2. Nah, didn't like it. Didn't even bother with Brotherhood and Revelations. Tried Assassin's Creed 3. Nah, wasn't bothered. Just couldn't get into it. So I've given up on the series kind of a long time ago. I've seen Eric play a bunch of them a couple of times, being like, oh yeah, cool, yeah. And been like, nah, I've no interest. Like, I've seen like Black Flag and stuff, and I'm just like, cool. I think I'd rather play a pirate game rather than an Assassin's Creed game in a pirate era. I'd rather play an actual pirate game.
That was one where a lot of people, I think, really jumped back into the series was Black Flag. Those people love Black Flag, and I remember playing it and cleared it, and I was like,
yeah, I played a little bit of it, and it just wasn't for me.
Yeah, I didn't really like it. I was like, this is very. Is it that one? There's someone has some video about it, Chris, where they're tailing someone in a ship for like an hour.
That would be Video Game Donkey.
And I think it's with Assassin's Creed 4 that happens. I don't particularly remember that mission.
Yeah, I kind of hated the ship combat in that.
Yeah, it not. It just did get to a point where it's like, this is not Assassin's Creed.
No, it's just using the name.
It's just, yeah, it really feels every time. It's like, let's just shoehorn it in. And I'm like, just should have ended it with 3.
Like, it's possible now that, and I don't know, I haven't played them. I know people love Valhalla. It's possible now they're making better games, right?
Yeah.
But I do wonder why they're latching on. Like, why not make a new IP? Like, they're just like so, because then it becomes like, right, Vikings, Assassins. No, I mean, not really. That wasn't their style at all. And it might be built into the story, fair enough, but it's just that it's like the Viking era of assassins. Like, Vikings were not assassins. Like, they pillaged. That was their style. They broke down doors and burnt places down. That was their style. They were not assassins of history. No. You know what I mean?
The assassins are shoehorned into that,
right?
And the kind of the order that you're fighting against are shoehorned into that. Because at the moment, I don't know how many hours I've played of it. A good few hours. At the moment, it's still just very much, we are Vikings trying to establish our home in England.
Mm-hmm.
And all the Assassin's Creed stuff, it's just not. It's there. You can do it. But that's the really weird thing, is that from Assassin's Creed 4 onwards, the Assassin's Creed stuff kind of got pushed to the side.
It's a side quest.
Yeah.
It's now a side quest. Apart from Syndicate. In Syndicate, you see you play as the 2 twins, and they were assassins, but they decided to abandon the order to go about hunting their targets in London. but at the same time, they're starting up their own gangs. They're starting up their own group. And
it would be fascinating to sit on one of their pitch meetings for a new Assassin's Creed every time, and just sit there and just listen to the whole thing, and then just go, "Why?"
Well, like, I'd love to hear from other people. I know, like, people do love this series and look forward to each Assassin's Creed that comes out. I know there was a huge love. The genuinely Assassin's Creed Valhalla did incredibly well, and I think there's been a whole new fandom built around that game nearly on its own. But I could never get into them. So I'd love to hear from people. And so even going back as early as the first game, and if they announce tomorrow that they're remaking the first game, I wouldn't care. I would have no interest in that game. Even like when they said Assassin's Creed Mirage and everyone got excited, nothing. I felt nothing for it.
Yeah, I
do not care.
Because it's like, okay, just take me back to that period, because there's so much that they could fix with the first Assassin's Creed. You just named a bunch of shit that they could fix. And I just want a game based at that period and that location.
Mm-hmm.
It could be anything, actually. I don't care. Just put me there.
Yeah. No, I do think they need to go back to their roots, because the new kind of RPG trilogy they did,
sure,
like you said, Chris, new IP should have just been they should have been their own kind of answer to God of War or something.
Yeah, like, you could have called it Age of Mythology.
Could have done anything, because
I can't believe it. I can't believe, for anyone who doesn't know this yet, Age of Mythology Retold is coming next year. I can't fucking believe it. Adam, you said something about, you said this, the announcement that Age of Empires 2 and Age of Empires 4, was that what it was? Are coming to Game Pass, right? And I was like, oh, fingers crossed for Age of Mythology. And then like 2 hours later, so Age of Mythology, I was like, oh, I'm going to keep crossing my fingers for shit. Yeah. That was so good. I can't wait for it. I suppose just before we close out, there's another game I would just like to briefly mention before we just finish up, okay?
It better be more controversial than that one.
I think it will be. We've said it before, but I think given the context of the episode that it is, Adam's going to join me right in on this one, but Eric is not.
Oh.
And that is
free from this.
The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, right? Everyone loves it. Everyone loves this game. It's a fantasy game. It's the kind of genre I love. It's got a cool character. He's got badass swords and magic, side quests, huge adventure. Cannot get into it. I've started this game 3 times, and I cannot fucking get into this game.
It's like
at all. I've even ignored the whole. I went, right, you know what? The problem is I keep going for this Griffin and I don't give a shit. I need to go do something else. I'm going to take on little side quests at the beginning and buy into it. I was investigating this house where I think a banshee or something had come up out of a well and killed everyone, or blood everywhere. Investigating it. I should be into it. And I'm like, I don't like it. I don't know why I don't like it. I do know why I don't like it. I think I hate the UI so much that I don't want to play the game. I think that's what it is. And I don't like the combat. Sorry, I don't like the combat. Even if the lore and everything, maybe the lore is like the best thing ever. But I know, Eric, you love this game.
The lore is pretty good.
Is this a top 10 game for you, do you think? I'm not saying where to place it, but is this easily a top 10 game for you?
Yeah. Sure, why? I might as well.
What do you mean it might as well? Is it, or
might
is
as
it?
Well, put it up there. Might be a favorite game, like, who knows?
Might be right up there, yeah. Adam, can you pinpoint why you haven't gotten into The Witcher 3?
I think it's the animation, it's the combat, it's the lore, it's the world.
Wow, that's harsh. You don't even know the lore in the world. Come on.
Well, the lore that I just experienced while I'm playing the game,
as in the onboarding lore,
what's being presented to me. That I'm not. I just don't enjoy it, because I tried to watch. I watched the TV show as well. Right?
Oh yeah.
And
okay.
I really disliked the TV show, so I just don't think the Witcher world is for me.
But I loved the opening cinematic to The Witcher 3. And I remember there we go.
The CGI.
Yeah. I know, but and then there's all this artwork and stuff kind of explaining how shit works. And I was like, here we go. This is it. And I just can't get into it. And I know that we are in the minority there. I know that for a fact. This game is fucking beloved.
I think it won a couple of awards or something, didn't it?
I think it might have.
It got. Now it's not Game of the Year for 200 years, but it did get 200 Game of the Year awards.
Yes, but I do also believe
that
about
5 gold editions. It got gold edition 5 times or something like that. I don't know.
Something like that.
It's going to be like the next Resi 4. It's going to be released on every console.
Yeah, could they increase the frame rate though while they do that? Because that'd be swell.
It is many people's favorite game of all time. Yeah. I've heard that come up many times. And again, do you know what? I get it. Because if I was to, tell everyone go play my favorite game of all time, they could easily also go, what the fuck is this, Chris? Like the gameplay sucks.
I think you have to be there, though, right?
Are shit. Well, this is it. And like,
and the thing is, I was there. With both of those games, I was there. And one of those I was into, and the other one, not so much.
Yeah. It just goes to show everything is subjective, Everything really is subjective. Yeah. Because you can't have like a whole world of people that love something, right? You get a couple of outliers, and then the rest of the world are all wrong. No, it can't be that, right? It's just that art is subjective. You like what you like, you don't like what you don't like, and we'd love to hear from you guys. So if you guys have been watching YouTube, please jump down in the comments to share your thoughts on a game or a game series that you just can't get into, even though it has all the ingredients that maybe you should love. And why are you not into it? Or if you want to berate us for what we said about games that you do love, feel free to get in touch and
which one
point
of
the
us
figure.
Was the most controversial?
Yeah. Which one? Which one of us is the most controversial? Let us know. And if you guys are listening to us on audio platforms, then you can also touch base at social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Brothers Take, again, to give your take on everything we brought up here today. If you enjoyed the discussion, why not follow our podcast on YouTube, give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, ring that notification bell for all future content, or leave us a review on the audio platforms. Thank you very much for listening, everybody. We look forward to hearing from you, and we'll be back to talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.